everyone. I'm attorney Justin Lovely, and I'd like to welcome you to the Carolina Justice Report podcast and videocast that we're shooting here today. I'm here with my partner, my wife, Amy Lawrence, and our senior associate, Miss Sarah Alston, and we're going to talk today and have a little discussion to kind of answer some frequently asked questions that come up a lot in our practice, so we can put it out there and hopefully educate everybody on the front end. So we're not answering the same questions over and over and over. So the topic, if you follow the podcast, we've talked previously about various topics: auto accidents, slip and falls, those kind of case types that we practice. But speaking on the personal injury side of things, I just want to teach everybody what really happens in a case on the back end in our office. What's the lawyer doing? What's the staff doing? So they can kind of understand what's going on, because a lot of times these cases take a long time to get to settlement until we can get money in the client's pocket. So with that being said, we always hear, hey, how long is this going to take, Justin? How long is this going to take, Sarah? How long is this going to take, Amy? We hear this over and over and over. The other thing that we hear before somebody becomes a client is, can I handle this on my own? And so hopefully let's have a discussion today and we can answer both of those questions with an overarching way of how we do things and how the process is at the Lovely Law Firm. So Amy, just generally, when a potential client calls us, they've been hurt, what happens? What happens in our office?
So the first thing we do is, when we get a case in, is we set up the claim. We get all your information, the FR10 from the accident. We request the medical. We request the accident report with that FR10. We make sure that FR10 gets sent in to the South Carolina DMV, because that's required under the law within so many days of the accident. So we always do that. And then we set up the claim with the insurance companies, both your insurance if there's any UIM, and also with the at fault.
Okay. And certainly our case managers, our paralegals get involved in that. And I've done a good job. We've all done a good job of building out some technological systems where we use electronic signature e-sign to make this as easy as possible on everyone. Because the minutia and setting up claims, it's a pain that you don't need to be going through if you're a potential client when you've just gotten an auto accident. Absolutely. We take all that off your shoulders and we handle those things. So we've got the claim set up. You just mentioned we've got the accident report. Now, what if there's not a regular, a typical fact pattern, and there's something we have to investigate? So what happens then?
Yeah. So a lot of times, if we've got sort of an obscure fact pattern, we'll send our investigator out there right away. Our clients sometimes won't have all of the information. Sometimes they don't even take photos when they're injured on the side of the road. So they're not gathering, witness statements, and they won't even know that a witness is there. So we'll get that accident report. We'll send our investigator as soon as possible. That way we make sure no evidence is lost.
Yeah, because the officer is just, when they're trying to figure out who's at fault, they're trying to fill their form out, get people to the ambulance, and move on to the next wreck. So when the highway patrol is working this accident, like you just said, things can be lost, memories fade, skid marks wash away in the rain. So yes, we get our investigator team in there to get down and get all this evidence. And a lot of times that can turn the case. And that's not something that a potential client's going to do. It's also why it's important that they hire us immediately, so we get the ball rolling on it.
Yeah. With time comes, memories fade, like you said, and also evidence starts to disappear. Those skid marks are gone. One of the things that our investigator always does, and he's super experienced, and he's always looking for these things, but he's also looking for any kind of security cameras that are on buildings, and he's going out and he's securing those, because that can really make all the difference.
Right. So the next thing that people always worry about, we've got that going. They've signed up, they got the investigation going, and their car's messed up. So they're worried about their car, because people got to get to work, right? So Sarah, what's that process like in our office?
We've got a property damage handler who can help our clients and sort of walk them through every step of the way. Unfortunately, and I tell clients all the time that you're always going to be disappointed with your property damage. Your car's worth more to you than it is to the insurance company, and that's all contractual. So our property damage handler will really maximize the value of that settlement. In the background, while all of this is going on, you're treating with your doctors, and we're sort of working up your injury case.
Right. And that's a good segue, because the most important thing is your health and your injury case. And so I know early on, our clients are always worried about their car. But we do a good job of getting that started early on, get it adjusted, whether that's through repair or get them if it's a total loss, we make sure that's maximized. So that brings us to our next point, the medical treatment, which you kind of touched on. So what if a client, and this is, if they've got a doctor they're already treating, but what if a client doesn't have health insurance? How do we help them in our office?
If a client doesn't have health insurance, we've got a network of providers that we can send them to work off a letter of protection. What that means is we will pay their medical bills out of settlement at the end. So that not having health insurance shouldn't delay you from getting the treatment that you need.
Right. That's very important. We got to make sure that they keep treating. Okay, treatment fatigue is a real issue. They don't want to keep going, or they're not used to going to the doctor. But everything that they tell their doctor, every diagnosis, every ICD-10 code, treatment code, that's all adding value to their claim. People don't realize that, and we stay on top of it with our case managers.
A lot of people don't realize is they just don't know where to start. They went to an emergency room and they've said, hey, we're going to give you a referral. You need to go see a neurologist. And they don't even know where to start, or an orthopedic, because they haven't seen one in the hospital. And the great thing about us is that we've worked with all these doctors for so long. We've got this great network of physicians that we can call and get them in and get them treating and get them better, because that's really, the most important thing is to get them healthy and back to their normal life.
Correct. So how often are our paralegals calling, Amy? How often are they calling the client?
You're in the very beginning, you're going to hear from them a lot. They're constantly calling in, checking in, asking how you're doing, what the doctors have said, asking questions, all that good stuff. So you're going to hear from them quite a bit, especially in the very beginning. And as time progresses, of course, we're always going to keep in touch and stuff like that. But you're going to hear from us a lot in the very beginning, because we're gathering information and trying to help you get that treatment that you need.
And our case management software has texting features. So if you're not available for a phone call, we text you, we email you, we hit you in all different ways constantly. Like you said early on.
We're touching you one way or another, whether it's an email or if it's a text message or a phone call. And we've noticed with our clients, and just as time goes on and technology gets us there, that a lot of people just don't want to talk on the phone anymore. And I get it, because I don't either. And so that text messaging feature, all those texts go directly into your file. And so none of them are lost in translation. And it really makes all the difference. And our clients really love it.
Okay. So the clients are treating, they're about to be released by their treating physicians. When they are released, Sarah, what happens then? What's the next step in the process?
So when the clients are released, hopefully, and not hopefully, we do gather medical records as you're still going to the doctor. But when you're released from your doctor, we'll request those final medical records and review them, and we will get everything together. We'll make sure we have accident report, photos, everything our investigator looked into, your medical records, and we'll put together a demand letter.
Okay, what's a demand letter?
It is a demand for payment from the insurance company, a demand for settlement.
It says we want all the money. We want all the money.
Yeah.
We want it all.
We want it all.
And that's what we want to do, because clients don't want to go to court. Nobody wants to go to court,
No.
right? The client wants to get done with their treatment. They've reached maximum medical improvement. Hopefully they're back to as good as they're going to get, like they were before the wreck. And at this point in time, the pressure's back on us to get them their check. Okay?
Right.
And that's what this demand letter does. It sets the tone. We want to get this thing settled. We give a specific time frame. The insurance company is going to settle this case, or the lovely law firm is going to litigate this case.
Right. And the best thing that we do, I think, is we've got by the time we're sending out that demand letter, we've got the case prepared, almost for trial. So you put everything before the insurance company, and they sort of have an ultimatum, like pay us or else, and we take it from there.
Okay. And so at that point, they're either going to pay us a policy, we're going to negotiate, and a client will always ask, well, am I going to be involved in this process? And absolutely they are. Okay. They're the first phone call that we have once we get offers. And of course, as you know, Amy, it takes 2 or 3 times we'll negotiate to max out an offer. Or sometimes we just can't settle a case. Okay. Now, if we can't settle a case, that starts the litigation process. Okay. Just start us off on that so the clients can kind of understand what happens at this point in our office.
So if we're not unable to get the case settled, the clients will get a call. I think we should file this lawsuit. I'll recommend we file the lawsuit. I'll explain that that's going to take a while, and it's going to take a lot more involvement from the client.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to go through the discovery process, which requires the client to actually answer questions and participate in the written discovery and depositions and things like that. But throughout the whole process, we're still investigating just as thoroughly and still preparing the case for trial at every single step of the litigation process, in hopes that we will be so prepared that they will settle it before we actually have to try the case.
Absolutely. And of course, in Horry County, we're a mandatory mediation county. The whole state's mandatory mediation now. So usually within 9 months after we file that lawsuit, we're at least we know all their defenses. They know everything we're going to put at trial, and we're sit down in front of a mediator, and usually we can get it settled at that time.
You know, a lot of times people ask us what written discovery is when we talk about discovery. And because if you're not in the realm of law like we are, and this is what you do day in and day out, you just don't know what that means. And so just kind of an idea of what that means for people out there, I'm sure they're probably asking the same thing, is they're going to send us a bunch of questions, and they're called interrogatories. And we get with you and we answer those questions. And so we know what's going on. And then we go into the deposition phase. And that's when we, in person, ask questions back and forth to all of our witnesses.
And go down every rabbit hole. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes there's things that were not revealed. We'll start deposing people, and then that sends us down a whole nother avenue of discovery, where we figure out more facts that are to be used at trial. And usually when we put the pressure on and keep the pedal down hard and fast, next thing you know, we get a check in the mail and the case is settled.
Right.
So that's awesome. So now when we get to settlement, and of course this might happen whether we have to take it through the litigation process or if we settle it pre-suit. Let's say we settle the case. How long does it take for the client to get their money? This is a great question that we always get. How are you going to answer that, Sarah?
The stereotypical lawyer question is it depends. It depends on your health insurance liens, if you have health insurance or not, and then if you have Medicare or Medicaid or TRICARE or things like that. The process generally is we'll get the settlement check in the mail. We will begin negotiating your liens as soon as we know settlement. We'll get the check in the mail. We'll try to get the liens paid off as quickly as possible, and then the check in your hands. So in the fastest sense, it can take up to 2 weeks after settlement. Sometimes it can take a couple months, especially if you've got Medicare and Medicaid, and we've got to work with the government.
Right. Go ahead.
Now, I'm just going to kind of chime in here for the everyday person who doesn't understand what a lien is. So if your health insurance picks up, or Medicare, Medicaid, whatever that looks like for you, and they pay for your health care and your doctor's visits, all that stuff, we're a lot of times legally obligated to pay them back. And so let's say you owe them $10,000. We start negotiating that $10,000 and try to get it down. We try to get it reduced all the way and to get it waived. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. And a lot of times we can get 25% off that bill. And every dollar that we get it reduced, it doesn't put a nickel back in our pocket at all, or a penny or a dollar. It's every dollar that we save on those liens goes back into the client's pocket. And it really makes all the difference, because a lot of law firms don't do that.
Right. Go ahead.
I think some clients think that liens are a bad thing. And so I try to tell them about their liens and figure out what kind of health insurance they have early on to prepare them. But liens aren't necessarily a bad thing. That means that your health insurance is paying. You're getting that negotiated price on your medical bills, and you're getting more money in your pocket at the end. So I would much rather work with a health insurance lien than I would with these individual providers when your medical bills are so high. So liens aren't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, they're a great thing. Yeah. The biggest thing for our girls in our office, our paralegals, case managers, they make sure every provider has billed the insurance. So we get the insurance contracted price, and we have one accurate lien. Now, that is one thing that can hold up a settlement. But yeah, you're right. Once we get this, we got this lien that's paid 10 or 20 cents on the actual price of the medical records, the medical bills. And then the attorneys, we are able to negotiate that down further. Like Amy said, put more money in their pocket on the back end, which is great. And then what happens is, we have a disbursement sheet. So it's not like they just get a check. It's just like a real estate closing. They know line item where every penny's going from their settlement. They get their check. And it's a big to do in our office, because we want our clients to be lifetime clients. We want them to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll ask them for that, because we want them to be our raving fans after the fact. Okay. And most of our clients, if not 99% of them, do refer us cases and leave us those 5-star reviews. That's something we're very proud of. So that's it. And that's that case style, what we just described here, that will go on for any kind of injury case, really. I know we talk about auto, but there's little nuances with dog bite cases, slip and falls, but most of those cases will follow the same time of events, timeline that we've just described. And we've actually got this little cheat sheet that we give to all our clients that kind of goes over this, so they kind of can figure out where they're at in their case. And we actually outlined 26 steps. I know we kind of just brushed over some of them. But that's when people ask, should I handle this myself? And the question is, there's some cases that you can handle yourself.
And we tell people that.
Yeah, we'll tell them that up front. But if you need a lawyer, we're going to let you know. We hope you choose us, and we'll give you this up front so you kind of know where you're at. If you get worried, 3-4 months down the road, where are we at in the case? We'll send you to the step that you're in. So this is something good that our clients, past clients, current clients love. But that's pretty much it. Now, what else would you ladies add to just a timeline on that topic, a timeline of the case and how you're treated with us?
I would just say that, it's not going to happen tomorrow. And that's what if we could wave the magic wand, we're unicorns and we're good, but we're not that good. And if we could wave the magic wand, we absolutely would make it happen and get you all the money immediately. But that's just not the reality of life and the process. And so we just tell people to be patient, know that we are working as hard and fast as we can to do the right thing by them and to really maximize the value of their case.
Yeah, and you don't want it. And a lot of times I try to tell my clients, you don't want it to happen so fast because we're not done with our investigation yet and you're not done treating yet. Yeah. And sometimes the longer it takes, the better. We have cases where we think they're not worth as much money. And then when we really dig in, we realize, oh my gosh, this is worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that happens over time. We find those things over time. So be patient, but also keep your paralegals updated. I think the more our clients update our paralegals with where they're treating and what's going on, that helps the girls sort of work things faster. So by the time it gets to us, all of that is done and we don't have any delays in medical records or liens or bills or things like that.
I was thinking when Sarah said you don't want it to happen so quickly, so often, how many times have we had there's a lot of these cases that they start having headaches and then all of a sudden we realize that there's a traumatic brain injury involved, a mild traumatic brain injury. And which seems like an oxymoron to even hear me say it out loud. Every time I say it, I kind of flinch. Like, is there such a thing as a mild traumatic brain injury? But there is. And so a lot of times we'll have clients and they'll be in this collision, their head will hit something and adrenaline's pumping and they think they're okay. And these headaches don't go away and the fogginess doesn't go away. And, if we settled it really quickly, we would never really know about that until it was too late. And so it's really, really important.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're seeing that more and more now as these doctors are more educated to say, hey, a concussion is not just a concussion. It's a traumatic brain injury. Now they're calling them mild traumatic brain injuries, like you said. That's a great topic. I'm glad you said that. The one last thing I would add is we need our clients or potential clients, don't be tough. Tell your doctors everything. Because everything that you tell them, they're putting it in the medical record. If you don't tell them, they're not.
It's like it didn't happen.
It's like it didn't happen. And when a defense guy looks at it, they're going to say, hey, he's not hurt because it's not the medical record. So, and everything a doctor says is gold. Okay, we can preach to a defense, we can preach to an adjuster all day long. This person's hurt. Whatever the doctor says is gold, and that's what they're going to believe. So it's very important. We stress that a lot. Tell your doctors everything.
We always see that with moms. They want to go in, they're tough because they're used to, taking care of everybody and they feel like for somebody to take care of them, it feels wrong. And as a mom, I feel that way all the time. Like I'm the one who takes care of everybody and I'm not willing to really sometimes say what's really going on. And we really encourage our clients to tell the truth and be open and honest about what's really going on with them in life. And if something hurts, say it. There's no shame in that.
Okay. Well, I think this was a good discussion. Great. I think we answered a lot of questions. So guys, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're even on TikTok now. And if you like this, like and subscribe. I'm not going to be doing any dances, but I will teach you some legal issues.
I don't know. I'm going to get him to do a dance.
Right.
We'll probably do it.
So follow us and listen to this podcast if you like it, and reach out if you have any different topics you want to listen to. But we're signing off. Again, this is the Carolina Justice Report. I'm Attorney Justin Lovely, Amy Lawrence, Sarah Alston. We'll see you next time.
Life gets ugly, justice is love.